Good morning, everyone. Robin Carroll
Oh,
here with the beautiful Tracey Gonzales.
good
And
morning.
I'm gonna have to excuse us both in advance because we're both going through weather changes and sinus issues. So we're both a little clogged up. So Tracey is a very gifted psychic healer and intuitive and reader. And well, she's my sister. She's my soul sister. And I don't even remember how long we've been friends, but however long it is, it's not long enough.
A few lifetimes now, my darling. A
It'll
few life.
never be long enough. So how are you? How are you doing?
I am good. The energies are absolutely crazy. As we know, they are absolutely crazy.
Yes.
We're being hit by awakenings left, right, and center, and they're not bad. They're not bad. They're not to be afraid of. They are to see, that they're to look at. So I know we'll talk about that. I know we'll talk about this, but the reason that we have all been through so much in these last 3 years is because we needed to get ready to prepare us for what's coming in. And these are unprecedented times. We're seeing things differently. We're not limited by shields, veils, realms. We're there. We're everything. We're collective is moving forwards with this vast expansion and acceleration. So the knowledge is downloading. We're not learning, we're just downloading, we're receiving. And so we're walking, talking receptors and transmitters, but we're also transformers. So if you think, and I don't mean like Optimus Prime, that kind of transformer, but this is, we are bringing in everything that we need to be showing to the rest of the world. But so many people are terrified of their gifts. We've got lots and lots of people that have gone into withdrawal that were in their light. They've gone into withdrawal. And that is because of the weight of the fear that was sitting from the collective and they couldn't carry it. So their lights haven't gone out. They're there. They're just resting. They're going to come back. But it is a beautiful time for healing. It's an absolutely amazing time
Yeah.
for them to connect with divine source, meditation, stillness, reconnecting with Mother Earth. These are the things that we absolutely need to be doing to bring ourselves back into true alignment just now.
And rest. Lots of rest. And
Huge amounts of rest needed.
as always, hydrate and rest. But um, I know that a lot of people were saying to me, I'm tired. When's it going to end? I'm tired. When is it going to end? And I'm like, well, what kind of tired are you talking about? Because I think a lot of people are, there's a lot of different ways to be tired, right? Like we're physically tired, we're mentally tired, we're emotionally tired, we're politically exhausted, um, energetically exhausted. And you're right, there are a lot of people in fear, and it's kind of hard. Like we never prep. Anybody that's ever been, you know, on with me knows that we just wing it. It's whatever comes up. I like to be in whatever the natural rhythm or flow of the energy is in the moment. And if we prep, we never stay on script
It's the
anyways.
only way to be authentic when you're
Yeah,
working.
yeah,
Because
I just feel it's like it's
what
my
I love with you
thing.
is you never know what's going to come out of your mouth in the same way I never know what's going to come out of mine.
No, yeah,
So
I was gonna say
we just
that's
go
that's
what
uh
station.
that's the pot calling the kettle black. Like,
But that is comfort. That's when you know that you can be comfortable with each other's energy, when
yeah,
whatever comes up is what's meant to come up, because
absolutely.
it's only ever going to be truth. What's going to come up is
Is there
always going to
anything
be need
else?
you're talking about. There is no point going into anything else.
Yeah.
There really isn't. And there are so many people just now that are saying, this is this way, this is this way, this is truth, this is not truth. No, there's so many different. If we were to stand looking at the top of this glass, looking in, you're going to see a different perspective if you're looking that side to the one I'm going to see if I'm looking this side.
Exactly.
We're looking at the same picture, but we're seeing different parts of it, and we're feeling different parts of
Yeah,
it.
or else it depends on what part of the facet's reflecting towards you, right?
Absolutely.
Or you're looking through. What lens are you looking through? What facet are you looking through?
And have you seen the rainbows coming in? The color rainbows, the codes that
Yeah.
are coming in, the light codes, We're physically seeing light codes everywhere, and they're showing up. You've got little
Talking about this
everywhere,
for what?
but
We've been talking about
beautiful.
we've been talking about that for a couple of weeks about that coming in, and you and I were sharing some personal experiences and some dream experiences, and God, there's been so many things that are just like off the wall, unbelievable. And before we came on, I'm like, this is like a really bad Stephen King novel. Like with his books, like he or his movies, especially when they turn his books into movies, like he always leaves you hanging. I'm like, well, I don't like that. I want some answers. I need some I need some answers. So I understand people's um, frustrations that we're not all getting the clarity that we want, that we need, that we crave, and we've been living in this period of unknown for so long, and this is where we need to have that unbelievable faith and and trust in the unseen and in the unknown, right?
Absolutely.
Which being human is hard to do because we're naturally curious little boogers. That's what we are.
And we are really bad at believing something that we can't see.
Yes.
And the same way, if we look at somebody who's got an invisible illness, we're really bad at understanding that that person is in immense pain if we can't see it. If they're walking on crutches
Yes. Yeah.
or their legs in bandages, we say, oh, they must be in so much pain. But somebody walking along with anything and we can't see it, we lose the compassion, we lose the connection, we lose the understanding
Right.
because it's not there, it's not tangible. And we've come away from the old ways in belief, but we're coming back to them. If you think about the base of religion, we've got all of these different religions, and if we look at the baseline of most religions, it is their belief in God. And yet religion is used as an excuse for war,
It,
which absolutely is just, it's mind blowing.
you brought up religion, and it's I always find that mind blowing because
Mm.
I'm somebody who likes to study like ancient cultures and different religions. And I wouldn't consider myself to be like an overly religious person, but when you put everything together, no matter what religion it is, the core essence comes back to God, one God, and love. And to
Absolutely.
love your brother and your sister, right? But yet human beings, because I don't want to pick out individual countries because there's so many wars going on, I wouldn't even that would be the whole podcast. Like, but we human beings misuse religion as a reason for war, I think. And I think that it's really just a lack of communication or a
And it's
lack of understanding of what our ancestors meant and how what's been lost in translation. Because no matter what religion it is, it all comes back to there is one creator and it's the God within us.
and what do we do when
Here.
we are in trouble? The first thing that we say is, God help me.
Right.
God please help them. God please make it stop. It doesn't matter what religion you are from, it doesn't matter which prayers you are saying, your fundamental need is that God helps us.
Right. God
And
help
yeah,
us. God bless us.
and we need to see lots more of these beautiful multi-faith places coming up where we can see Christians, Catholics, Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus, everybody just together praying, meditating in their own space and just asking for peace, just alignment, peace.
You
Because
know,
that's all there is. At the end of the day, all there is love. If you think about the word war, WAR, wrong and right, it's always the argument over who's wrong, who's right, who's right, who's wrong. And it's as simple as you break it down and it's literally without meaning, just wrong and right.
and there's so
But
many.
we're there and we're watching it and we can't get away from it. We could say, well, we don't want to be involved in politics. But every time we switch on social media or the TV or we walk down the street or we speak to a neighbor, we can't escape
Yeah,
politics. It's in our
I don't even watch TV, and it pops up in my social media.
absolutely.
It pops up everywhere, or someone will send me something, and most of my friends have been pretty good. I've been like, listen, I really don't want to get involved in that. But we can only live in a bubble for so long.
Of
Okay.
course, and it would be beautiful if we could all be just ignorant and sit and float away and say, no, none of this is happening.
But eventually we can, but eventually it's going to come knocking on your door. Are you prepared for it? Are you mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for it? Forget about financially. I think the whole world is financially just so stressed. It's ridiculous. But some of these people, their fear is so real. And I want to say rightfully so. I don't want to take anyone's
No, we've got people that are
feelings away
terrified of
from them.
the world right now.
Right? They are. They're absolutely terrified, and some of them have every reason to be, and others um, are sitting back and watching these horrific things happen. But there's only so much, we can do. And again, this is where we turn to God and we pray, right?
That's exactly it. I always say this, I don't, you know me, I don't post about politics. Once in a blue moon, if something really strikes a chord with me and I see truth with it, I'll post something. But otherwise, I don't, because when I see wrong on both sides, I will never say this is right or this is wrong. You see, wrong is both sides. But it's the innocents that are in between. Because every single person, you could say here in the UK, we've got a questionable right or wrong government. There in the US, you've got a questionable government, but none of us get a say on what's going on. None of us are making these decisions and these rules that go against anybody else.
No,
So we all get attacked by them in some way, shape, or form. So, how on earth could you hold something against me and say, the English government hate her for that? How on earth could I ever say this American person? Look,
it all goes back to the Tea Party. I just want,
yeah, well, it's like Alice in Wonderland's tea
what are you,
party,
what are you
isn't
gonna,
it? We just
exactly.
don't know where anything is. Drink this.
It's almost, I want to say, like, depending on what, I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but I know not to you it won't. Or like if I was talking to Leslie, matter of fact, I think she made a post something about a timeline, but it all depends on what timeline you're on, right?
It absolutely does
I mean,
because
there are people that are
really,
like Alice in Wonderland that they're down the rabbit hole, and then there are people that are like kind of like I don't like to say like when I do this, it's kind of like as above, so below, right? But in somewhere in the universe, I feel like we do have to have a certain amount of what I call positive tension to keep things kind of level and moving. But what timeline is this person on? We can't sit and judge somebody because they're absolutely how can I say this? Mortified and what is it, like frozen in fear, right? Um, because it's like our country, we're not we're not used to that, like what we're going through now. Like we've not experienced this since 1776, and I don't think any of us were
no
here.
one here now has ever experienced anything like what is happening now.
Well, even the astrology is like nobody. I mean, I've looked at like astrologers with 50 and 60. I think it's trying to think, is it Pam Gregory has like 60 years experience or 60? I can't even remember, 65. I'm not sure how old she is, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, Pam. You don't look your age, so I don't know how old you are. But but they can't even, they're like, if somebody's telling you, predicting, saying this and this, they're wrong because nobody can tell you all. It's like a day, but I just look like day by day, and I'm not good at day by day anything. You know that. Like I go through and I look and I write down what I see for the month, and then I might go back and look again. Um, but I will say this. that this 7 planet alignment that we have tonight, especially you guys in the UK, are going to have a beautiful view of it. And, Venus is exalted in the night sky. So since Venus is retrograde now, you're not going to be able to see her above the horizon for much longer. So if you get a chance, for everyone over in the UK area, Ireland, England, Scotland, what else is over there? Wales, take advantage of the beautiful view, because it was absolutely stunning last night. I saw, but now Mercury's joined into the mix, so it'll be beautiful. But all the different energies coming in and mixing, and it's the same thing. There's all these, like you were talking about, the waves of the rainbow colors coming in.
And that's what always makes me smile. Whenever I do a lot of grid reading. So I look out and see what's coming in on the energy grid. And I see lots of colors. And I will share what I saw with you a couple of weeks ago because I've never seen spears of light coming in before. Usually it's a wave, or it might be a big ball of light that's coming in onto one part of the grid or another. But it came along following a message, and I shared about a month ago. I shared with you. I woke up in the morning, and the room was so lit up. It was so bright, and there was this loud message that brought you out of my sleep, saying the light of God has never been stronger. And all they showed me was this beautiful. I couldn't see the wardrobes, couldn't see anything. It was just pure light absolutely everywhere. And then I settled for a second, thought, I need to go for a wee. I've got to be able to see where I'm going. Just, just settle me down again. Then I saw the arrows being fired. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was about maybe 15, 16 days ago. And they were shooting arrows of spears, but the spears of light were coming from God's hands. Now that says to me that God's got this. So I'm not carrying fear through this energy because my belief that God has got this is absolute. And the angels are here to assist us as they always are. I work with angels. I've worked with angels for 30 something years. This has never been stronger. It's never been brighter. The healing has never flown through in this way. But the first spear that hit us was yellow, and yellow rules the solar plexus. So when this jams up about 16 days ago, so we would have seen lots and lots of people saying, I feel unsettled in my stomach. I feel like I'm lacking in confidence. I feel really insecure. I feel really knocked for side. I don't know if I'm where I'm meant to be. I don't know if I'm happy where I am. It's those kinds of things. Equally, if it hit them positively, all of a sudden, I'm going to go for it. I've got my dream job. I'm doing this. There's a real advance in this. Then it was about 6 days later, the next one came and then it was blue. Now that's still current. The blue is still current with the energy. So this is the throat chakra. It's hitting the etheric energy. So it's old wounds, old hurts, things that haven't completely healed in people. We're replaying old conversations that we might have had 35 years ago. But these conversations are coming up to the surface. You might get a song in your brain that you listened to when you were 12. It's more of that coming in. But we've got a deep need for understanding. There's lots and lots of searching for this. Now, the next
I'm going to back,
come across
you up real quick. I'm going to interrupt you 1 minute for 1
so
minute.
your astrology from that, it always
I read the grid as well. I read the energy as well. And I started astrology, like, as a hobby that just turned into something more than a hobby. But to back you up, for people who don't believe in
So
people,
what is the blue with
they
this?
don't
What
believe that they don't believe that, we can read energy or see the grid. So today's the 5th, right? What's today? The 4th. Okay. So what you saw, or what you are seeing and describing, well, yesterday the sun came into a trine with Mars, or it started in moving into an aspect where it's going to come into this trine with Mars, which is like a triangle, which is a positive aspect. Okay. And what is Mars? The red planet. the
Yeah.
planet of forward movement, aggression, anger, war. But you get to choose. Are you going to propel yourself forward? Are you going to use that? How are you going to use that fire? You're going to fuel yourself and move yourself forward? You're going to use it for anger? It could come out as a like if you know someone that has kind of a narcissistic type of personality, it could come out that way.
Yeah.
Um, and then tomorrow's the fifth. Why do I keep thinking today is the fifth? I'm
I
so
don't know, but I've been thinking the
messed
same all day.
up. It's not. It's the fourth. It's okay. I'm surprised. I just changed my calendar to March over the weekend.
Now, let me check in on this with you, Robin, because when I was looking at timing on the grid, that red is going to really hit us on Thursday.
It most certainly is going to
So
hit us on
that comes
Thursday.
in with Mars.
Fifth, sixth. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, because tomorrow, because the moon is in Taurus. Okay, so you were asking me about the blue. The moon is
Yeah.
in Taurus. Taurus is the throat.
So this is where we are now until Thursday.
So
We're
or and the moon's going to move into Gemini overnight. And what is Gemini?
uh,
So the way we think and the way we speak, the way we communicate, the way our brain processes, right? It's our everyday, the
but
way
it's that analytical as well, isn't it? It's the two sides. It's the do I don't, I do, I don't, I do, I don't, I. It's the pulling.
it can be duality, but I don't really like to describe Gemini that way because
No,
I,
energy of
if you
communication.
look at the twins, they're back to back, right?
Mhm.
And I always say that everything comes full circle. So if everything comes full circle, then eventually they come face to face. Now, when you come face to face, what happens? This is when you speak your truth, right? We've ignored everything for so long. Now we're facing our truths. So that the blue you're seeing is the throat, and it's like it's the earth. I want to say it's Gaia, it's Mother Earth, considered the blue planet. And what is happening on this blue planet?
What's not
Nothing.
happening on it, honestly?
What's happening? Exactly. What's happening and what's happening? What are we communicating and what's not being communicated? So this energy is calling for us to speak our truth. And people will be speaking their
100%.
truth, and they have already started speaking their truth, like from what I've overheard.
But
And
you know, that red energy, it could bring in some fear, some disruption. It can even make us second guess because we're questioning our material stability. So there could be a lot of worry about money, about investments, about security, about where things are going financially, where things are going. And yeah, the red as well, if we look at the root chakra connects us to transformation. Without being connected, we can't ground. We can't bring in the transformation.
that's the Pluto trine because it's moon in Gemini, emotions, speaking our emotions, trine, positive. So that means we're going to release. This is going to release. Trine Pluto in a sextile, which is a positive aspect, with Mercury in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Mars and Pluto are the ancient rulers of the eighth house, Scorpio, which is death, rebirth, and transformation. And how is that going to occur? Through speaking our truth.
Absolutely.
So I love the way everything falls into place. I didn't plan on doing the astrology, but I when you were
Now,
talking
just
about
out of curiosity, Robin, now you can look at this. I don't know if you've got that far ahead with the astrology. I'm sure you will have. But what is meant to be following the red is going to be green. So the green wave or the green sphere is not actually meant to hit us until about the 11th or 12th. So we're going a little bit further ahead, but this is definitely green that's going to be coming in next. And there's a huge load of healing that is going to be that. This is heart open. This is beautiful soul connection.
I only went like I only do 2 weeks at a time, but I have up to the 14th. You said the 11th or the 12th. So the 11th, Venus is going to make a half square to Uranus. So Uranus is the great awakener, the planet of surprises. And Venus is the planet of love. It's divine feminine energy. It's
Which
goddess energy.
completely ties in with this beautiful heart energy opening because this is going to be a gorgeous time for forgiveness.
And a half square is what I would call like a laser, like, okay, so a square is a 45-degree angle. So half of that. Okay. So it's a very laser focused energy. Okay. What do you love and value? Okay. What shock and surprise is going to come up? And Venus will also be, there's a Venus Mercury conjunction. So hopefully with Mercury being communication and Venus being who and what we love, and it could also be material things, and you know, but the moon's also in Leo when all this happens. So Leo again speaks its truth, right? And Venus is retrograde, so she's going backwards. She's in Aries, going backwards, making her way back to Pisces. Venus isn't comfortable in Aries. She doesn't like being in Aries. She loves being in Pisces. So there could be this kind of push-pull type of energy. Like, what kind of words are going to be spoken? Are they going to be the loving, kind and loving Venus, divine, feminine, mothering, nurturing kind of energy? Or could they be aggressive words, which would be more of a Mars energy? Or could they be words that are used to trigger us, whether it be in a negative or a positive way, to propel us, to make us move forward, or to make us step away from something we need to leave behind so that we don't take it into the future with us. And then Mars and Chiron are coming into a square and they're getting closer and closer. So there's more healing coming in because
There's
Chiron's
huge
wounded
amount.
healer and Mars is the red planet. So I love the way your colors have lined up with the astrology. And then we'll have the moon in Virgo, which is a lunar eclipse, and the sun and Saturn will conjunct. So it's about boundaries.
Which is amazing because following that, if we were to go to that next week after the full moon, we are going to be going into an orange energy. So the orange represents the sacral chakra, which is all about the feeling of security. It's all about connecting with pleasure center. It's about, can I do this? Do I feel safe in the sacral self? And what do I need to mend? What do I need to heal? How do I connect? This is beautiful. It's sexual, it's sensual, it's over the top exertion. So we could end up exhausting ourselves if we're not careful with every.
That's Yeah, that's very Saturn Capricorn type of energy. Okay. And everybody wants to feel safe and secure, but it's almost like, but who really does right now?
But we've got to be very careful, and I don't mean us or anybody in particular, but in that energy, with that transition, as we're going from the heart into the sacral, we've got to be careful we don't minimize ourselves to try to feel safe. So anybody who is with anyone who could be a little bit narcissistic or controlling or anything else, that's where we've got to be careful that we don't try to just keep the peace and say yes for the sake of. After that,
So
then
the
we've
truth
got
is
beautiful
important right
personal
now.
energy that's going to hit, and then we're back in alignment, and there's going to be a lot of spiritual people up and doing their thing again because they've gone full circle with the healing.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see people too, like more people coming out in the spiritual community, like people who have kind of stayed behind the scenes, or they're going to be stepping more into their spirituality. And I think that that's part of a lot of the truth and the healing that's taking place is that, like, since we've been through Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about freedom, it's kind of like you're free to be who you are now without fear of judgment. I mean, there's always going to be someone who judges in some way or attempts to, but it doesn't bother you the same way. There's more of a centeredness, a ground. It's like being grounded and ungrounded at the same time,
Completely.
right? It's like one minute you're firmly planted on the ground, and the next minute you're flying around with a balloon. You have a balloon in one hand and an anchor tied to your ass on, the other end, because you don't know what's up and what's down.
And that's how we need to be. You think about it,
Extremely flexible.
when we channel and we're connecting with source, if we're connecting, we're working with mediumship, we're working with clairvoyance, we're channeling downloads. So necessary to be grounded. If we're not grounded, we end up being so airy fairy and out of alignment with the self because we are all over the place. And the frequencies are so high just now that it is enough to blow your head. You can't cope with it unless you ground. You have to ground. I know you're not the greatest fan of being grounded. I'm not the greatest fan of being grounded, but we do. We need to ground our energies daily.
I
Our
actually have a grounding mat now. I have
I
a
one
grounding mat
have
that
to.
I think it was Rio bought it for me for my birthday. I don't know how many years ago. And I used it a little bit, and then I just never unpacked it since I was here, and I was going through stuff, and I found it, and I'm like, yeah, I need to pull this out.
Yeah,
Because
we all need to be grounding. We have
you you and I have this thing that somehow we're connected through our dream state too, because I'll message you or you'll message me, and we tell each other about our dreams, and we both had, I don't know if it was the same night or what, a night apart, and we hadn't talked for 2 or 3
we
days.
didn't know, we hadn't spoken at
And you
all.
were like, I saw this, this, and this. And I was like, oh my God, I saw this, and this is where I saw it.
And it
And
was the same
talk
places,
about,
but from different angles. Again, I was seeing a different scape. You were seeing a different scape.
yeah,
But I think we were seeing the same events. We were seeing the same things that were going to
yeah,
happen. And we maybe saw it in different times or at different moments with the alignment, because I know that I had a lot of uncertainty about what was going to happen first. They didn't come in any particular order. I just
yeah.
saw
It was
lots of
kind of
different.
like, what did I say to you? It was like a lazy Susan.
That's exactly it. And I just
But it was
saw
like a lazy
spinning
Susan.
around on
Just,
the globe.
just spin, or like the wheel of fortune, just spin the wheel wherever it lands. We don't know. But when that was when I had that same dream with the grid. It was like I could see, well, like, because we talked about this before, like several years ago, 5, 6 years. I think it was before COVID. I had a dream. That's how, I have for everyone, I have no concept of time. Okay.
She really doesn't.
I'm a Pisces. It's like, before it was like before Christ, after Christ. Well, now it's before COVID, after
It really,
COVID, or
yeah.
before mom, after mom. Like literally, like that's how I live my life. Like it's hard. I don't want to say it's horrible. On one hand, it's really, I'm happy that I can laugh about it, but on the other hand, with more serious things, like I've missed doctor's appointments because of it. Like like my doctor here now calls me. Like so, but I saw the grid from like the weirdest perspective. Like when it was like I could see it. Well, there's always the 7 points of light. And at the time, because I'm part Native American, I knew someone else who was, and I knew the story of the seven sisters in Native American culture. But they kept saying to me, no, it's 7 points of light. There's seven anchors of light, seven anchors of light. And so I Googled it. And at the time, I don't remember who the president was, but whoever it was, it might have been Bush, like the second Bush. And he created some kind of scholarship program for accelerated students who did really well, that they got like a free education, free ride with, before our country gave out free college, which I guess we're probably going to lose now. I'm not sure. But that came up, but that was called 7 points of light or something, 7 points something. I don't remember. It didn't fit. It just didn't resonate. So I managed to connect with someone that I know on Facebook for quite a few years, who's Native American, and she went through, well, what about the seven sisters? And I'm like, yeah. Then when I learned astrology, I realized that it's also part of the Taurus constellation. Okay. But it always showed me seven anchors of light. And this one particular night, you had a similar dream the same night. You dreamed about the grid, but we saw it from two different perspectives. It was like I could see it like I was looking down on it. And then it was like I was underneath, like looking up. Like, would you ever
Yeah.
see one of those like dance floors, acrylic dance floors, and like you can look up and see? Well, that's not a good example. Um, I'm thinking, oh no, that's really not a good example.
Our vision of this
Or there's
world is
like a
like
sunken
a
pool.
Chinese
Okay,
scope.
say you're in like you're in the islands and you're on one of those resorts and the pool is sunken and like you're sitting in the bar and you can look up and you can see people swimming in the pool.
Yeah.
That's better. Those people are appropriately dressed for that example. Okay. So that's how I could see the grid. I could see it from like 360 degrees above, below, and then like I'm turning my head and it was like the weirdest thing. It was like watching the movie The Matrix where everything was just moving. And I'm like, I think I was jumping timelines, which is how I could see it from different
I
perspectives. Then I get
swear
a
we
message
are
from
Mother
you.
Earth.
Right? I didn't get this message from you. Go ahead with your story.
We're literally exactly there. It's exactly what you said. I mean, the seven sisters as
Crazy.
well, these are like seven different lines of education and knowledge. So
Yeah.
if you look at like the mythology of the seven sisters, this is old, old, old knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we've got a place called Seven Sisters. It's to do with chalk cliffs
Mm-hmm.
and for rock formations. But yeah, brilliant description of being under and looking up at that because it's the facets. It's all the facets of all of the different types of things that we see. And then the next minute we can't
Oh,
see any of it.
you and I both saw similar visions and similar areas that lit up on the grid.
Yeah. And that was within the
Similar
same,
country. And matter of fact, I think most of them were the same countries or the same area of the world.
there were.
One, I can't tell you exactly what country it is because my geography sucks. But there's one specific spot, and that was in the Middle East. But I don't know what country. I'm gonna have to take a good look at a map, but I'm not even sure now. At this point, it's already in play. Everything's already in motion. That's
And
what
the only
people
reason that I
understand
didn't
is that.
share any of that online, and I wouldn't share anything like that online, is it because it can induce fear
Ex-
when there's not a necessity. We don't need to have fear because this is
Um,
not to be afraid of. We're being shown things that are changing through the earth. So if you think about Mother Earth, we've got everything, and we are the same mineral constituents. We are the same as Mother Earth. So if you break us down and you break a piece of rock down, we've got calcium, magnesium, we've got all of these different beautiful things in us. The only thing that's really different is that we have got higher consciousness thrown in. We've got cells. And, we're like walking, talking cucumbers with a higher consciousness, basically, and the mineral constituents is a piece of rock. So we've got it all going on. But we have gotten to that point where we're so out of alignment and out of connection with Mother Earth, which we belong to, that we don't even feel that we're a part of it. And that's so sad is that people don't recognize they are a part of it. And one of the most beautiful things has happened through this year. And I see Mother Earth's light as like a platinum color light. And when we ask for healing, if we go outside, if we walk on the beach, if we go up a hill, or if we do whatever, we see this beautiful sort of point of platinum light that comes up through the earth crust and up through the grid and it connects. And we've got spiritual energy that comes down, or cosmic energy that comes down, planetary energy. We've got earth energy that comes up, and it forms this caduceus, like a Dyson vacuum cleaner. If you think about, then we're walking, talking, cucumbers, rocks, higher consciousness, Dyson vacuum all thrown in, and we wonder why we feel absolutely all over the place. We are like we're in this gyroscopic energy.
yes.
And it was about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks, a month ago, and I woke up with an unexpected unknown ear infection. Vertigo came along as a side effect. And if you've ever had that, you know that feeling of being in a gyroscope
Yeah.
where the room and everything else is moving around you and you're not moving, everything else is moving. Or if you've just been really drunk, you know the feeling. But that is it, that's what's happening with our energy as we're moving. The energies are moving so quickly around us in all directions. So a lovely thing you can do with this, by the way, to stabilize it is to put your feet against the ground, to breathe in through your nose, raise your head up ever so slightly, and inhale with an or an exhale to just reset the balance a little bit. And afterwards, we can form a little bit of a knot with energy. So just in, out, and loop. And you can do that above or below, all the way around the back and sides, just to reinforce the auric field. And we need to be reinforcing our auric fields just now. We need to be shielded in the same way that we're saying we don't want to come into contact with toxic waste. We don't want to come into contact with toxic energy either. So we have to be responsible for this, for our own being and our own human and the energy that's around us.
I think it's beautiful what you said about the earth because the earth doesn't need us.
Absolutely not.
We
She
need
will
her.
carry on and she will be so happy millennia
We
after
need
we're
her.
not here anymore.
The perfect example of that is although COVID was a horrible time for our world, for the people, people of our world, um, or virus or whatever you want to call it. Okay. When we were on lockdown, do you remember how clear the water was in Venice?
Absolutely.
How the animals came out into like
The sky is above the mountains.
like the sky cleared up. You didn't see the chemtrails. It was just,
Oh,
you
they're
know,
making up for it
we're-
now. We don't need to worry. They are making up for lost time. We have never had more
yeah.
crap in the sky than we have got just now.
But she doesn't, the earth doesn't need us. We need her. She nourishes us. We don't nourish her, and we don't honor and respect her the way that we should. And she's reminding us of that. And I think that's why certain things have played out in a certain way when we see
Absolutely.
um like the plates shifting and the possibility of, certain earth events happening, like with Uranus. And this isn't to scare anyone either, because Uranus can be, shock and surprise. So it could be eruption, disruption, or it could be something beautiful and wonderful, right? But it's I don't want people to be in fear, and that's easy for me to sit here and say, I don't want you to be in fear. Um, but if you do feel fear, you know, go within, go to God, or go to God if that's what you need to, or come to one of us. Tracy is probably the most gifted, intuitive, psychic healer I have ever met. She's the only person. I mean, I love when you tell people, "Oh, well, you can just tie these knots." Tracy, you know not. Yeah, I could tie knots, Tracy, and I'll be on the phone calling you tomorrow, telling you, "Can you please untie these knots?" Like, uh, you
I
know,
do love
we
you.
all have our strengths and our weaknesses, Trace. What comes
This,
natural for you
this
is
was just,
for everyone.
it was a lovely exercise that came to mind because it's so safe for anyone to do. So we don't bind ourselves accidentally by using that particular fluid knot because all we're doing is looping the energy. And you can do it. And I mean, you are an amazing healer. You have got the potential to be one of the most phenomenal healers because you work from your heart. You work from your heart space and you channel divine light. And one of the first conversations we ever had, I loved you before we'd even spoken. And I knew you before we'd spoken because I remembered you before we spoke.
Oh, there was an
And
instant connection with us.
there was just such an immediate connection of I missed you, where I'd known you before. And we realized that this was not our first life as sisters. And it was just so beautiful and so symbiotic, all of the energy that was flowing. And COVID time, it was one of the most horrendous times, but one of the most beautiful paradoxes. And
I
You
agree.
can look back and when you think about the awakening that so many people experienced at the same time, and the way that we do everything changed. Literally, the way that we do everything. I mean, I used to do most of my work face to face, but I've always worked on the phone or online. During that time, I did everything online, and that's how I stayed, because all of a sudden I realized that I'd shared my sacred space, I'd shared my home for all of those years. And I realized that one, I didn't have to, not because I didn't love my clients coming round, but when we connect in this way, in a way that we're speaking today, if we were in the same room, we would be distracted by that window, and we'd be distracted by that dog, and we'd be distracted by this or whatever else. When we work in this way, we are face to face with our communication. We're hearts open with our communication. And the connection is deeper and much more intense if we were doing a healing or if we were doing a reading right now. I am looking at nothing but you and your energy. Whereas if we're in the same space, everything else is going on. And it occurred to me, actually, why don't we just do this all the time? And last week was actually one of the first weeks in ages that I went out and did some healings with actual humans face to face, hands on. And it was beautiful. And I'd missed doing that because virtually all of my healings are online now in meetings like this. And the other person feels the exact effects that they would do if they were here in my living room with me. I get the same connection. All we do is just focus really, really intensely. And I'm the energies for that. Now that is amazing. They surprised me last week. I don't think I told you about that. And just diverting really quickly because I've got to share this. It will make you laugh. I'd gone into this lady's house and I had a couple of people that I needed to do healings with. And the guides for the second one said, she's in a mess. We won't be able to do this with her awake. And I said, oh, okay, then I'm not quite
Tell
sure
me
how
about
that's
it.
I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but okay. So she sat down. By the time that I'd introduced who we were working with, she was gone. She stayed out for the count for 55 minutes and I brought her back into being awake. And the first words were, oh my God, I can feel my feet. Oh, she couldn't feel her feet when she sat down and I didn't know, but she could feel everything. The healing is much more intense just now. And that's because we are much more open to receiving it, because we're receivers as well as transmitters. But we've forgotten to ask. We've forgotten to say, help me, please. We've been very busy for a very long time in trying to sort everything and everybody else out. And we are really bad at asking for ourselves. But all we ever need to do is ask.
Yeah, and I want to add this to that, that say it out loud.
Absolutely.
Say it out loud because you should never be ashamed of whatever it is that you're asking for because some people still don't know how to receive. They don't know how to ask because they want it, but they don't know how to receive because they're still uncomfortable with receiving. So ask out loud and reach out for help. There is strength in vulnerability. I don't know how many times I have to say it. There is
This
strength
is where
in
we find
vulnerability.
most of our strength
Sitting
is
in
in our
suffering,
vulnerability.
sitting in your own suffering because of ridiculous pride is no way to live your life. That's something that we need to let go of. That's something we do need to leave behind. And
Yeah, we've been programmed into that way of thinking for a really, really long time through generations.
oh,
We
absolutely.
carry that forwards. And, what I know, we've done a lot of work on the ancestral lines, on the karmic debts, and we put a lot of effort into this. And it is really difficult. None of us are naturally comfortable with saying, yes, please, or can you help me, or anything else. We are all easy in saying, I'll do that for you. I can do that for you, because that makes us happy when we get into do. It makes us happy. But in healing, we allow somebody else to heal as well. And the golden rule, you cannot help anybody else unless you put your own oxygen mask on first.
And I think too, when you do a healing, I've never done a healing or a reading or even an interview like this where I didn't walk away with something from it, something I
Every time
learned
we
for
always do. It doesn't
myself,
matter who we work with.
right? Or just to be able to see your face. Like we're both so busy that yeah, we leave messages and we used to leave messages more, but time's so accelerated, right? So we don't even
Yeah.
leave the same amount of just to see your face, you know, and we'll be like, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize it's been like, was it like 4 or 5 days? Like I remember when we didn't even go 4 or 5 hours without talking, right?
We literally didn't. No,
Like we
we
were
really.
just glued to the hip. But things are things are crazy. It's in a good way.
But with us and with lots of relationships with people who are connected as a part of the collective just now, we know that that time doesn't make a difference. I know that I could go for 2 weeks without speaking to each other. I love you just the same. I know you love me just the same. We catch up where we
Yeah, I
left off,
don't even know it's been 2 weeks for me. It's
and
been
it
like
is
2 hours.
a natural just given that, when I catch up with Robin. And last year it was disgusting how fewer times we actually connected. And our lives were just crazy at the same time. We were just going through so many different busy shifts and busy things.
Yeah.
And, here I was helping run two businesses because my husband's business was up and running and that was really busy. And then this, and then half the time you have to remember what planet you're on and what timeline you're on and what day you're on and what year you're in. You just don't know. But we always catch up. And, there was a lot of loss around last year. And I lost two of my babies, two of my dogs, 3 months apart from each other, which knocked me for six. And then I had three of my favorite humans that I lost in the same year. Not lost because we never
You have
lose.
a
They
lot of
just change their clothes and they're in a different outfit. That's all it is.
yeah.
So I spend more time talking with them now than I used to when they were here. Some of the time they're just always around, which is beautiful. But it's not the same as being able to have that face to face and the same way that we do. And I mean, we both lost a parent in the same year. We were just talking about that earlier on. And it is crazy that that is going to be 4 years ago. And it feels like a minute ago. And if you hadn't have been there in that time, I would have collapsed into 1,000 pieces. And we've got all of these little pieces of this mirror ball, like you said, the great big beautiful disco mirror ball. And those are the facets of it all. It's all of those little bits that form that love that we have. It's all of this. And that love is collective as well. We need to be sending out love to each other. We don't need to be sending out messages of jealousy or resentment or hate. Or we
No.
just need to be, and somebody who is being really nasty, somebody who is being really bullyish, the best thing that we can do is say, oh, God bless you.
Yeah.
Put God's light around you because you need it most. And, we've got people that are
That's what I
just
always say. Pray for
out
people
of
who they
alignment.
can get the most. Right.
Absolutely. I think I told you earlier on, I shared a post about angels. And I've worked with angels my whole life, but I've worked professionally working with angels for almost 30 years. And I shared on Facebook a post about angels and got a warning that I'd violated. Now, I reported a child kicking a dog in the head and an act of violence against a woman and a sexual photo from a selling site. And I got told on all three that they wouldn't remove because it doesn't go against the community standards. And you realize what the head of the monster looks like.
I
That is not just
do.
on one platform, so I'm not speaking out against Facebook or Meta or anything else, but we're seeing this across the world and we're seeing how we've become so desensitized to pain and suffering and what should be not
We have
okay.
normalized poor, inappropriate behavior.
100%. And we have become so afraid of speaking out or saying, no, that's wrong. Now, you know me,
Have it, which is
I
probably going to get
support
us
the
into trouble, but a lot of people have. I told you before we came on, I got a message last night. Um, um, I mean, how many years I've had that group? 3 years. I would like to say every Sunday, but every once in a while I do take a Sunday for myself. And I call it the Sunday service, and I just do like a brief upcoming whatever the energy is going to be, and I pull some cards for whoever's on, whoever wants a card. I shared it from my group to uh, to my page, and they're both my pages, okay? And I got a warning saying that they were going to close my page if I didn't remove that I broke the Facebook rules for either sexual content, which I was fully dressed, um, sexual content. What was the other thing? Religious, read something with religion or something else. And the only thing I could think of is religion. Well, I'm a spiritual minister. Of course, I'm going to talk about God. And why me? How many people are on every day? Please pray for this or pray for that or pray. And I'm all about it. Okay. So what do I have to do? I can't use the word God. I can't use the word spirit. I don't remember what, because I usually will say God, spirit, or creator, whatever you believe in, because that's my mindset. I'm open to whatever you believe in, whatever gets you through, whatever helps you. It's whatever's in here in your heart. And yeah, so I don't know. They might shut down my page, and I'm thinking, well, I don't, you know, whatever. And then I got a thing saying something about a YouTube channel. Well, I've never had an YouTube channel under that email address anyway. So I don't know if somebody like cloned or hacked or
It's
whatever.
most probably just at one of those spams that where they're hoping you click and go on to the
Some
link.
people are just bored. They're mean and they're cranky
I
because
mean, the one thing we've always stood by when we do lives or when we do a group and we've got the holistic, mystic, one-stop shop, and we share lots of things on there. We speak truth. We speak unapologetic truth. And so the truth can never offend anybody because it's truth. Now,
well,
lies can offend anybody because it's not the truth. But people say they're offended by the truth, and it's impossible.
if
Truth is
you're
truth,
offended
and
by the truth,
therefore it can't offend.
it's because you're living a lie if you're offended by the truth.
You are so used to being switched off from the truth that you find it hits you in the wrong way. But actually, if we're all in alignment, then how can we possibly be offended by truth? That's like me saying, this is my nose, and saying I'm offended by my nose. It's impossible.
Well, right now I'm offended by my nose because I'm tired of it. Allergies are on my last nerve.
I thought I would be apologising for sniffing, I must admit, because my orchid tree is waking up in the garden. Now, she's beautiful and she had a really, really good cut down last year. She's just waking up into bud.
We have a lot
And there's a few
of
other things that are all popping up at the same time that always, always make me sniff. And you know that I do have chronic fatigue in the background. So if I'm up with allergies, it makes my energy levels go down just a little bit further than usual. And it's not uncommon for me to be saying, I need a nap at this time of the year at all, even more frequently than usual.
That's just been the common theme, whether you have allergies or not. Everybody needs a nap. And
We do. We need nap time. We need sleepy time.
I think that that's part of it is that we need to rest because when we wake up, we need to be ready to move.
And if you think about the last, well, 7 years, six, seven, maybe 8 years, we haven't stopped. We haven't stopped at all. When we've stopped, it's been to get orientated, to breathe, to try and stabilize, to get ready for the next thing. And that's not just us, that's all of us. We've been on this great big wheel of change. And it's a beautiful, great big wheel of change. It really is. And Joe, it's funny, I stood there the other day and I had a song that came into my head, as I frequently do. I basically have Apple Music in my head constantly, or Spotify, no plugs, anything. But I was singing something and I couldn't tell you what it is now. But it just kept on going and going and going. And I suddenly stood and just sang it all out loud. And then I thought, now that feels better. That feels
Yeah.
better. And you just need, and for anyone watching this, if you ever get a song popping into your head, sometimes it's a memory, sometimes it's just a song, but it can be a clairaudient message. So always listen to the lyrics, listen to the meaning, feel the words, and if you sing, feel the tones. So if you're singing a song, feel where you feel the song in your body,
And look,
because you will always feel something.
the little signs and synchronicities, because, it reminded me, I had this in my pocket and I was out here the other day, when I came home, and I just opened the drawer and I put it in the drawer and I didn't look at it. It's just a business card. I went to the annual flower show here, the Home and Flower Show, right? And there was this guy there, and he had those solar blinds, which in the summer it gets really, really hot. And I don't want them for here, but on next off the next to this is the bedroom. And then it gets really, the sun. I don't like to wake up like and be like, and
Yeah,
shocked. I like to wake up gradually.
me too.
Usually up before the sun, but once the time changes. But it was really interesting because for the first time I was reading a book and I needed something like a bookmark. I don't like to fold pages. And I opened the drawer and I pulled this out, and it was the first time I've looked at the name of the company. Now you're gonna find this funny. The name of the company is US Custom Creations. Well, US spells us. My mom's business name was Carol's Custom Creations, and she always used to say to me, "Oh, why don't you come into business with it?" Because we couldn't do, because we were more like sisters, because my mom was only 17 when she had me, so we would bicker, right? And I mean, I loved my mom and everything, but it was like, nah, we have different, like, we have different visions. So, but sometimes I'd go with her and I'd help her, like when she would do shows and stuff. And the name of her business was Custom Creations. And I had just been talking about her right before I pulled this card out. Never looked at the card. The guy handed me the card. He's like, "Oh, well, give me a call when you're ready for a price." And I'm like, "Well, that won't be for a while. Let me wait and see how this plays out over here." Um,
A beautiful validation. You know, those
it
moments when
was.
you realize that.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Oh my God, does that mean, Mom, you're going to come back and pay for the blinds for me?" Like that's my mom's way of saying, "Yeah, get the blinds." She never liked the sun in her face in the morning. Me, I sleep with my head to the east, but it reflects off of a picture, which I think I'm going to have to move something so that it doesn't, like. But right now I'm
And
still
you know me, I'm a sun
on.
worshipper. I rotate with the sun like a sunflower. But when I'm sleeping, I have my blackout curtains. I
Yeah,
need dark to sleep.
I need dark to sleep too, and that's just it. And then once I'm awake, oh yeah, wake up world, I'll open everything
Yeah.
up. But I don't want it before I'm ready, especially because I've been getting a lot of those migraines. And for if anybody's been getting a lot of those migraines, I know that's been something some people have been complaining about, headaches, um, or sinus issues, which, it's the time of year, depending on where you are. If not, that could be coming from the energies. And what was the other thing? Tired, allergies,
In
head.
this particular energy, Robin, there's a lot of stress that's lingering around shoulders, neck,
Yes,
digest.
yes.
So it's at the back of the throat chakra where we're really being hit
Gonna
from what's
say
come in. So it's
you're
through
up.
all the way down,
Yeah.
and all the way across, and lots of either high acid levels or digestive flux. So lots of people are complaining about stomach irritations, and that's before we've even gone into the red energy. So yeah, there's a lot of clearing, but this is like the emotional gut. You think about the gut is the emotional brain. So
It
most
is.
things that trigger our stomach start up here. So it will be a thought, it will be not even necessarily a worry, it can just be a thought that can trigger our gut to respond. And I read, and I remember I had a meeting with a gastroenterologist when I was studying about the frequencies and things like that. And very close to 85% of issues that are connected with the gut don't turn out to be anything to do with the gut.
No,
He would send those people straight to therapy or a psychologist
that's just
or
what
just a
that's
talking
good.
therapy. Absolutely. Our gut tells us, okay, now there's something that we can't move past. And that connection between the gut and the brain, we have so many things that upset our gut, our gut balance. It can be a leaky gut, it can be bacteria, it can be an overload or not enough bacteria. And we don't always eat clean in the way that we should do now. Lots of things are sprayed with all kinds of things. Thousands and thousands of years, we've been eating bread as a staple. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 100 years, everybody's allergic to bread. No, they're not. They're allergic to all of the things that are sprayed onto what the bread is made with.
Thank you. Nice.
So we are not all becoming gluten intolerant. That doesn't mean that some people aren't, but for the most, we are chemical intolerant. We know that, but we can't get away from what's being sprayed all over the place.
It's all this genetically modified food on top of the pesticides, insecticides. Um, what can we do to make it grow quicker, faster, or even like, well, I know you're vegetarian and I eat very little meat. Um, but I don't, it's one of those things like every once in a while I'll crave a burger, but when I eat it, I always feel sick afterwards. Like for 2 or 3 days, I just feel sick.
Yeah.
And I'm careful about what I buy, or you'd like to think that you are, but
In truth, you never really know.
you
You can
know,
buy
because they lie on the labels. Like we really need to change our labeling laws and like they I hate to say use the word lie, but they lie to us. They're just not honest with us. Like I think you are better off in the country growing your own food and raising your own meat, if that's what you do. I mean, I personally like I grew up on a farm, but I would not eat our own like our chickens. Like if my grandfather killed a like I would not eat our own chickens.
yeah.
But yet if I went to a restaurant or something like that, I would eat chicken. But I
But
wouldn't
it's
eat
a personal connection, isn't it? I mean, I eat fish. I'm
they were
pescatarian.
like pet. Like it's like eating your dog. Like you don't eat your dog, right?
I mean, I eat fish, but when I was a kid, I had tropical fish. I had tilapia, and I used to love my tilapia in my fish tank. Now, my husband tonight is having tilapia for his dinner. I will never touch tilapia because to me, I used to stroke the tilapia in the fish tank when I was younger.
I like tilapia, but they say to be careful with that now too, because it's now they're telling you to go for what is it, deep water fish. I'm like, yeah, do you have deep pockets? Like everything's so expensive.
If
Yeah.
you buy sustainable organic, it always comes with a big price tag attached because it's still the detachment. It's not normalized yet. Think about free range eggs. So when free range eggs were
Can't even
first
think about egg trays. They're like $15 a dozen. Right?
all eggs should be free range. What on earth do we think we're doing as human beings, keeping beings in cages and torturing them for the sake of eating an egg? Like, no, that's not okay. But the free range eggs now, the normal price, the standard. I can't believe we've still got places that sell caged hens eggs. It's absolutely barbaric. It's disgusting.
No, it is.
But our eggs, I mean, our eggs are not as expensive as your eggs, I don't think now. I mean, we're paying, I think it's like 320 for a dozen.
It's been
320.
about a month since I got eggs, and I got it was a dozen and a half, 18 eggs for like just under $8. But
Okay, so
like in
I
California,
guess
from what I
if you
understand,
take in the conversion, we're paying 380 or 360 or 380 for 12 free range eggs.
right?
So, yeah, I guess if you were to take in the conversion from dollars to pounds, we're probably playing similar-ish, but I think you're still more expensive there.
Yeah, no, there's still more expensive here because there's not that much. Well, I don't know. I have to check the exchange rate because Suzanne told me that um I didn't even know what was going on. Suzanne told me what was going on, but apparently our dollar has changed where it used to be like one New Zealand dollar was a dollar, or one US dollar was $1.50 in New Zealand. Now it's one US dollar is two New Zealand dollars.
Wow.
So I haven't checked the exchange rate with the pounds and the euros, so I have no clue. I really don't know. I haven't bought anything from overseas in a while. So yeah. It is,
It's
you know,
ridiculous.
it's crazy. Just go buy a couple chickens and what do you call it? Easter's coming, you go to Tractor Supply or one of these little farms, get yourself a couple peeps. It doesn't cost a lot. Just throw a couple in the backyard. Like just let them, they're not going to go anywhere as long as you feed them. The only thing you have to worry about is wild animals getting to, and for chickens, you can even use a dog house and a little fence. And
Of
then
course you could.
let them run around and whatever, unless you have crazy dogs like mine.
Oh, or like ours. Although saying that, he would probably love chickens. He is strange like that. He loves the things he loves, and then he doesn't love the things that he doesn't love.
It's
But yeah, we have got to be
curious.
really mindful about what we're eating, what we're taking into our bodies, and it's not simple as looking at what you've got anymore. It really isn't. You
Wow.
can't trust what's written down. You really can't.
And,
And
would
it's
supplement.
more and more all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, be mindful of like I've been doing a lot of research to source organic supplements for the business, and it's been quite a journey, and I can't believe what I've learned. Like half of the stuff that you buy, like say in your local pharmacy or for you, your local chemist, isn't even like 1/10 of it isn't even what it's like 90% filler.
Wow.
So, if we're going to go back to some of the old ways, the first old ways we need to go back to is the old way of eating, growing our own food, and medicine. Because,
Proper. I mean, we call all of the alternative medicines alternative, but the pharmaceutical medicine is the alternative. We had natural medicine way before we had anything that was
exactly,
available in a bottle.
we're calling the real medicine alternative medicine when
And it
that's
does make you
the
laugh. It
first
really
medicine that
does.
there was. When
Yeah.
your vet was your doctor, he
Yeah.
took care of your horse and your kid,
And
right?
the blacksmith was also your dentist because they would get the pliers and they were usually drunk in most towns. That was the way it was here. And thank God we don't have that anymore and that we do have proper dentists in place.
Well, I
Well,
will say
whether
this.
we can see one
I
or
am
not.
grateful for anesthesia because I don't do well with liquor. So like I'm not a drinker, but yeah, we need to there are
I
some
don't
things
know
that we
about you,
really
whatever I buy now, and actually I've always done it. I've always been, I'm not sure whether I've been bad for it or whether I've been good for it, but I will read the labels before I buy something because I have certain allergies that I do look out for. And there sometimes is in very strange things, even in a packet of mints that are not chewy, there'll be hidden gelatin. And as someone who doesn't eat meat, I don't eat gelatin.
or how
I
many different
do
names do
from
you
the
have for
farmer.
sugar? How many different names are there for sugar?
Oh, wow, I've lost count.
Sugar, fructose, glucose, something else,
Sucrose,
glucose,
yeah,
high
all of
corn
the things.
syrup. It's
And we do not need 16 different types of sweet. We just need to go back to basics.
no, just one piece of chocolate would be good. I don't really need 16 types.
Even my chocolate, the chocolate that I like, and I like acid brown, it is brown sugar based. It is natural
like
brown sugar
I like
based.
carob, and it's all natural,
Yeah.
and it tastes really, really good. It's just that, and sugar's so addictive. It's like to me, sugar is like one of the most toxic things
It
on
is
the
one of the poisons.
planet.
We know it as one of the poisons that the body is not meant to digest, especially not the refined stuff that we use now.
No, sugar that you get from fruits, natural fruits, that's a totally different kind of sugar, you know? Um, yeah, we've become a very unhealthy world.
But
And
we've believed all the stories, haven't we? If we look back and I mean, I only just lost my nan last year and she was 97. And her meals were breakfast, lunch, dinner. She might have a snack every now and again. She would have something sweet to eat every now and again. But I mean, she's probably not the best example because that woman cooked most of her life with lard and copious amounts of salt, and
So did
she
my
did
grandmother.
really well on it. She did really well.
My grandmother did, and she lived to be my well,
She
both of
never
them looked
bought
that way.
cake.
One was in her 90s, the other one was well into her 80s. All
Yeah,
the things they tell us not to eat are things that are really good for us. You just can't
yeah.
overdo it.
And we went on to the big plant-based diets, which are great until we look at the chemicals that we're putting into the plant-based things. And our bodies can't digest anything that we can't pronounce. That's a pretty easy way of thinking about it. If we can't pronounce the chemical or the additive, probably not a good idea to eat it.
Well, I don't know about your country, but in our country, we also need to change some of our labeling laws because they're allowed to say, I'm going to use this for an example. Say that it's something like a frozen something and they say it's 400 calories. That can be off up to, I think it's 90 calories either way. So that could be either 310 calories or 490 calories.
Which is a massive difference over the space of a day.
Well, yeah, especially if you're somebody who's like diabetic, who
Yeah.
has to have a certain um caloric intake, right? Or something like that. But then again, how much of that is really true and how much isn't? We just grew up with what our like I'm actually glad that I was raised by my grandmother because to me she's proof that you can use lard, you can that bone broth is good for you. She always took a bone and put it in the pot of soup when she made soup.
That's
You know,
exactly how my nan always made everything. And my other nan, my mum's mum, it's a childhood smell. You walk into the house and there will be bone broth always on the go. Chicken bones, beef bones, whatever else.
because there's so
Before
much
we got
nutrition
scared
in it.
about
I
eating
mean,
this and eating this.
I don't personally like the taste of it. Like I kind of like hold my nose and like,
No,
but
you
if
see, when I
it's
was a kid and
soup,
I
I
ate meat,
like it.
I did love the taste of the soup. That was one thing that I
Oh, I
did
like
love.
the soup, but I mean, if you just did like the bone broth by
Yeah,
itself without the other stuff, no,
yeah.
I don't like that. But um, and it's hard too when you grow up on a farm and you're used to fresh things and stuff like that. It's
To
just
suddenly go to something that's a totally alien concept to the body for food. You know, we eat things that they're closer to plastic in their structure than they are for food.
if people
But
want
we
to
don't
wonder what's
become
wrong,
desensitized. We've become normalized to it.
right? If
So
people
if you
want to
went, do
know
you
what's wrong
want
with them and the
plate?
world,
Yeah.
look at your surroundings, look at your diet, look at your eating habits, look at your exercise habits, look at because we've become a very spoiled world. We don't have to walk a mile for a loaf of bread anymore. We could pick up the phone or go online and have it delivered, right?
Of course we do.
We don't know what's in the food. Everything's been modified. If we're not like we think that by eating vegetarian or vegan, right, that we're not getting the steroids from the meat, but now we're getting the chemicals from
To
whatever
get
we're
into
spraying
the
on. Because God forbid we want to get 5 crops this year, so we want to kill it quicker so that
yeah.
they can produce more. Our diet is killing us. Our environment is killing us. Our air is killing us. And we are doing it to ourselves because the
We
earth,
walk out thinking
earth
that we're
will
breathing in
regenerate.
beautiful fresh air, and the planes are up there spraying the fake clouds, and we've got all of these things around us, and we've got all of these illnesses that never existed.
I'm the only one in my family that has everything, all this stuff wrong with me. No one else in my family. Like doctors are like, they can't put one and one it's like it doesn't add up for them because, well, this is genetic. This is genetic. This is genetic. Well, apparently it's not genetic. Apparently there's something toxic in the air.
And you're sensitive to those toxicities. You know, when we're sensitive to everything that's around us, we get sick.
Yeah.
We deplete. We
Well,
can't get well in between getting sick. And so then we get sicker.
but have you noticed that people are becoming more and more people are becoming more and more sensitive?
They are completely. And the tablets, you know, that, I mean, God bless medicines. But at the same time, when we take a pill that has got a side effect that creates the need to take another pill, which creates another side effect, which creates the need to get another pill.
Exactly. It
The
starts that
industry is
vicious
saying,
cycle, right?
ching, fantastic. But we can't process those. We literally can't process those. And I know you're sensitive to that kind of thing as well. I mean,
Oh God, yeah. Like I can't. I mean, it's like a simple over-the-counter drug. One time I took Dristan for my sinuses. They called an ambulance. They couldn't make me up. They thought I was dead. I wasn't. I was just so zonked out. But I'm thinking, well, if I ever need to be knocked out really well, I want, like I said, the one thing I'm grateful for is anesthesia because, like, especially with teeth, I can suck up pain for other stuff.
smack you out and I've done with it.
Yeah, I actually do get them to knock me out if I ever had to have anything with my teeth. But now my shoulder surgery, 3 surgeries, 2 years of therapy, I took 2 pain pills. And when I took them, I broke them in half. So I took four times a half a pill.
Yeah.
That's it. That stuff makes me sick. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is vomiting with an upset stomach when you're already not well, you know. So anyway, my love, it was so good.
But we are coming into this beautiful healing energy. So, you know, one thing we've got to try and remember, we have got to try and remember is that just because we're sick does not mean that we have to stay sick. Now, that does not mean that everybody is going to feel better or that there's a magic wand and suddenly you don't have this condition anymore. But with healing, a lot of miracles are possible. There are some amazing turnarounds. And I've been told by one surgeon that if I didn't have that surgery, I would not be walking around in 6 months. And I knew I wasn't going to have that surgery, and I knew that I was going to be okay to walk around. And I am walking around. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get pain. I'm human. My body processes pain. I take in this toxic energy, but I do my best to unload it as well. But we need to go into healing. We need to do things that heal us. We need to do our breath work. We need to sleep because we cannot recharge unless we sleep. We can't reset ourselves. We can't program ourselves to actually go into a repair state unless we change the frequency. And we can use frequency devices like Healy, Genius, Rife, anything else. But our two things that we have absolutely no way of not doing, we can't do without sleep and we can't dehydrate.
Right.
As soon as we dehydrate, we have got 100 other things going on. Water is the structure of our body.
When I actually became dehydrated, and you know, the only thing I drink is water, right? But I actually became dehydrated last summer a little bit. Um, and like your thought process is all messed up. Like can't even put like connect sentences. Well, that's me on a regular day, but you know what I mean. But
Robin, it's me too, darling.
the thing
I'm amazed
it
we've got
is,
through the last hour or whatever and realised what we're talking about.
here's what I want to say. Try to stay out of fear and understand that with everything that's going on, like we didn't get sick overnight and we're not going to get well overnight. It takes time. It's a process. But this is where the your trust and your faith and your resilience and prayer or meditation, whatever word you want to use, chant or sing, whatever word you want to use, and where we need to step out of that judgment. And I keep saying the same thing. Remember, every time you judge someone else, you're judging yourself because we're all a reflection of each other.
Completely.
Who's reflecting? Who's deflecting?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
remember when we're going through anything, that everything that you're going through in that moment is actually preparing you for something else.
That's
Because we don't ever not look back in hindsight and with reflection and say, if we hadn't have gone through this, we wouldn't be here now. If we didn't experience that, we wouldn't have encountered that. We wouldn't have met that person. We wouldn't have taken that action. And there are times where, if you look back, if any of us look back and you think, well, actually, that situation, that loss, that fear, that illness, it made me feel like I died a bit inside. And you might have died a bit inside 100 times over, and a little tiny fragment would break away from you. And this is where soul retrieval meditation can be really useful. So we call back the pieces, but those are the pieces that broke, so the rest of us could be unaffected. And we call them back nice and brilliantly new and shiny, just so that we've got the complete part of everything around us. We've been through a lot on a human level. We are going to go through a lot on a human level. But we've got the two aspects. We've got our human and we've got our being. So poor old being is there going, come on, human, it's going to be okay. And being is being told, human by human, I'm knackered, I can't do this anymore. And we need to bring them together in alignment. Without resting the body, the human, we cannot feel like we've rested the being. And the same
we're
vice versa.
waiting, right? We're waiting in anticipation for science to catch up with us.
We are. We are. And everything that we're already remembering, we don't know. And just think about that. We're learning things, but we're not learning them for the first time. We're remembering what we already know by now learning it.
Well, something came up in the astrology in my personal chart, and and there's somebody that like when I'm too lazy to look at my own chart because I don't like to do my own chart. Anybody else's chart, fine, but I don't like to do my own chart. So there's somebody that I follow that I trust, and I'm listening, and it said, "Oh well, you know, it's time to learn something new," and I'm like, "MFer, I'm so tired of studying. How much more do I need to learn? I'm gonna die with a book in my hand." The next, I kid you not, within before the end of that day, within a couple hours, I checked my messenger. There's a couple messages in there, and one was from one of my friends in Australia. She says, I know you wanted to learn such and such ABC. She goes, there's a lady over here in Australia that's giving away a free 4 week course, blah, 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 to giving away her level one, which is a twice a week for 4 weeks. Well, don't you know what Robin's doing?
Of course.
And it's like, because it's in Australia, it's like at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I'm catching on replays and I'm doing the
Yeah.
work. And I connected with the teacher and everything, who's really amazing. But I'm thinking, Jesus, like, how much more do you want me to? I'm gonna die with so much wisdom that they're not even gonna be able to plant me. I'm just gonna float up. But when you'll know
You
when
are just going to
all these.
illuminate the world with your Robin light because you are your book. You literally are your books. So all you're doing is sharing little bits of yourself. So every book that you write is just a new share of yourself, an updated version.
You want to, did I tell you? I didn't tell you about. So my other book, I'm still reformatting because of the issue that I had, right? So I'm reformatting it. I'm to the point where I'm ready to pay somebody to reformat it because I'm just I'm over it, right? I just keep thinking, okay, it's not the right time. But why didn't you just tell me it's not the right time? That would have been cool, and I could have just finished something else instead of wasting all this time. So in the meantime, because of the self-care group, I thought I was just sitting one night and this idea popped into my head and all these things just kept, I was channeling. So I wrote it all down. So the next morning I looked at it, I'm like, well, this is pretty good. I think I'm going to make a self-care journal to go for my group. So I made it, I uploaded it, I published it, put it on Amazon. I haven't gotten my author's copy. I get a message from Tanya. She goes, oh my God, your journal is absolutely beautiful. I go, you have my journal? And she goes, yeah. I said, Amazon's would take like Amazon told me I'm not going to get my copy until February 15th and that it wouldn't be available in the UK until like, I'm sorry, like March 15th. They told me it wouldn't be available in the UK until March 14th. She ordered it and had it 2 or 3 days later. I still don't have mine, and it's my book.
Is that?
Now tell me that's not effed up. Don't tell me this that they don't have spirit, God, the universe doesn't have a sense of humor because
What
they
did we just say? Everything that you're going through is preparing you for what you are going to do
well,
next.
I'm going to be a comedian in my next life. And I thought I was a comedian in this one. But if you
Oh,
just
you
wake up
always
one
are, my
morning and you
darling.
just see all of this glitter, you know that I've crossed over because
We'll know that you
there's no
yeah.
way I'm leaving here without leaving a little bit of sparkle behind. And
Well,
what are
on
you
that note,
laughing at? Because
I am going to have
you're
to
going to
love
be
and
right
leave
behind.
you.
You're going to be behind me with unicorns and fairy dust,
We,
dragons.
there will be lots of sounds and bangs going on. There will be lots of glitter, lots of rainbows, and lots of sparkles. We can be assured of that. We can absolutely be assured of that.
Same
Oh,
here.
it's been so, so lovely to
I know
just
we
spend
need to
time
end. I
with
just have
you.
one question. Isn't this the year? Because I don't do Chinese astrology and I don't. Isn't this the year
Neither do I.
dragon or the snake, the dragon snake or something?
I
The wood
am
snake?
honestly
I
clueless.
don't know.
Don't
All I
know.
know is I dreamed about this yellow and orange snake that looked like a dragon that I saw in the water when I looked over forget it, over the mountain. It was crazy. It's the water
Nothing's
snake, I think,
crazy.
or the
Everything just sounds
dragon,
as it.
water dragon or dragons. Anyway, I dreamed about it. It's yellow and orange for anybody who wants to know. There you go.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much for having me today and just spending this time just being the wonderful, amazing you that you are and just
Oh, back
light
at you.
the world with your
Are
life.
you are my other half of my crazy.
Without that half, we would be lost. You are
I love
literally the
you.
sanity in my insanity. And when I tell you, you have been there through more times than I can remember, holding me together and just being amazing and being the sister that without I would be lost. I can never ever thank you enough.
Wow.
And
You
yeah,
never have to.
we are going to have to do this more often. And I will see you soon. You look beautiful in raspberry, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous
I love
colour.
that color. I
But
absolutely.
loads of love to everybody. And please, please just remember, don't go into fear.
No.
Stay in your truth. Don't go into fear.
Stay in your heart, speak your truth, stay out of fear. And if you need something, throw us a message. You know where we are.
All
And
our love will be there.
my grandmother always said there's nothing that flour and water can't hold together. Makes the
So
best.
true.
I love you.
Take care. Love you.
Thank you
Love,
for your
love,
time.
love.
Bye, baby. Want to thank everyone for hanging with us. Please remember to like and share. And that you can reach Tracey at Tracey Gonzales on Facebook. And you can also reach her on her business page, which is called The Holistic Mystic. And I'm Robin Carroll signing off for today. I'm wishing everyone a beautiful, blessed day and sending you all love.